Hey, this is Kenrick. If you are a coach, a professional, if you're a professional salesperson, let me tell you something. You are likely here because you're looking for higher end strategies you can bring to the table. How do you do this better and more effective and not look like a fool by using old fashioned things like attention, interest, conviction, desire, close, which were popular back in the late 1800s, for Christ's sakes? That is not the way to really sell today. Our markets are more sophisticated than that. Okay, so how do we take and sell more effectively? How do we make people buy from us, not commoditize us? How do we do this easier and quicker and more effectively? Well, let's jump right into it because I'd like to talk with you today about pacing and leading, and in particular, kind of an advanced strategy on pacing someone's breathing. Now, I wrote an article about this called How to Pace Someone's Breathing in Sales Persuasion. What I want to tell you about this is one of those special sauce techniques. It's not the meat, okay? I have tons and tons and tons of video on the meat. But this is special sauce. Excuse me. What do I mean by special sauce? Well, it's not something you want to focus. Do this. Let's go to the basic, what someone else does, or saying something that's true and verifiable. Now, let's look at how do those two things come together. If you're doing something that someone else is doing, it is true and verifiable, right? So put your hand up so it looks like mine, all right? If there's no one in the room and you won't look silly. Otherwise, just imagine it. Okay, so now you have your hand up. You look like you're looking in a mirror, kind of. Except one of us is better looking. All right, so you got your hand up, right? Now, when you do that, is it true and verifiable that we're both doing it? Yeah, yes, it is. Okay, so that's a pace. It's a pace. We're copying, we're doing what someone else is doing. Now, let's say I went to you, look, there is something you need to know. And while I do that, you do this. Would I think you are strange? Yes. If I did that to you and you said, look, Henrik, there's a couple of things here. And I go, right when you do it, would you think I was strange? Yes. Yes, you would. So don't do that. You don't want to do that at all. Thus, this idea of pacing breathing. Why? Because you don't see it like this, do you? In fact, I'll bet from the very beginning, you haven't really been paying attention to my breathing, have you? Well, this is something you can do on a bit more of an advanced level. So let me explain a couple of short things, and then by all means, you can go read the article that I wrote. That might be helpful to you as well. Okay. So first of all, let's be really clear. Physiology is the same for pretty much everybody. When I'm talking, I'm breathing out. Yeah. And when I stop and I breathe in, I'm not talking. I can't breathe in and talk at the same time. So whenever someone's talking, you know they're breathing out. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of one interesting thing to know as we do this, because if they're talking, they're breathing out, and they'll stop and take a breath like I just did and keep on going if they're on a roll talking. And you say, okay, but how is that useful? Well, on an advanced level, again, this is special sauce territory, okay? On an advanced level, we want to do as much as we can to be like them, or to say things that are true and verifiable. In my opinion, it's generally better for salespeople to focus on saying things that are true and verifiable, followed by leading. it's a little less onerous to perfect, and it's a little easier, and it carries a little bit more power in some ways, okay? But if you get really good at this, it can also carry some power. So now let me just talk about a few ways you can use this. Let's say you're sitting face to face with someone. They can see your hands. So I'm going to put mine up here a little bit so you can see them. But let's imagine that there was a desk here and I'm just resting my hands. As you're talking, I'm going to maybe make my finger lift slightly. So let's say it's up and you're talking. As you're talking, the finger is going down because you're breathing out. And then you breathe in and the finger goes back up again and it starts coming back down. And then it comes back up again and you're still talking and it's kind of coming back down. And so as the person is talking, you just kind of set up a little bit of a situation where your finger is following what they're doing as they're talking. And now it may not have an impact immediately as you are going through and doing this. But what I will tell you is over time, a few minutes, this will start to have more and more effect. Now, what kind of effect will it have? It tends to bond you with the other person. It tends to make it so that the two of you are a little closer. Now, you see what I'm doing? I just kept doing that. Now, there's another way to do it. When they're talking and they're breathing out, you can kind of lean forward a little bit. And when they breathe in, you lean back a little bit, and then you start leaning forward a little bit, just ever so slightly. I'm doing it here in a bit of an exaggerated way. And you wouldn't want to do it like this, and they're talking away, and then they take a breath, and then, no, just do it ever so slightly. Just do it consistently. The key here is consistency. But if we're not careful, we get sucked into a trap that those who try to talk about NLP for business and selling and that kind of thing get sucked into, and it's called the trap of rapport. And I have other videos where I talk about that, but you want to pay close attention and don't make the mistake of falling into the trap of rapport. Look elsewhere to find that. I'll be putting up so much here for you that'll be helpful, but that's something you really want to pay attention to. And if you are trying to learn these skills or some of these skills and you're dealing with somebody that is all about rapport, you're probably barking up the wrong tree. Okay, just to be real blunt. Be careful, because these skills are really powerful. They're really effective. And as you begin to study them and bring them into your own life, you want to do it in a way that gives you the advantage, not just makes you think you've got an advantage, actually is an advantage to you, and your sales begin to show that difference. Now, I'm not going to say that all of these skills are easy. And that's a good news for you, because if they were that easy, everybody would be doing it and you would have no advantage. But you have lots of advantage as long as you keep studying. All right, I'm going to end it here. Might want to check out what I wrote about it. I think you'll find lots and lots of things that will be helpful. Again, the article is How to Pay Someone's Breathing in Sales Persuasion. Hope this was useful for you. I look forward to talking with you again real soon.